Hello everybody, welcome to my talk. My name is Saša and today I will be talking about Syliusly. For those who didn't heard about Syliusly yet, it's an open source e-commerce solution based on Symfony 2 framework. And the goal of today's presentation will not be, of course, to teach you how to use Syliusly or nothing near that, but instead to get you interested into the project, to show some facts about the project and how you can benefit from using it or getting involved on any level or just playing with it. What can you learn and spend some interesting time with a really cool Symfony project. Before we start, a few words about me. My name is Saša Stamenković. I'm one of the core members of the Syliusly team. I'm coming from Serbia, a small city called Niš, and I work from CAMP Labs. Last 2 years I spent working on Syliusly related projects, the commercial projects based on Syliusly, and I contribute to Syliusly quite often.
High-low.
Sorry?
It's high-low project.
No, it's high-biz project.
Okay.
But I will say a bit more about the project later. And I run a small co-working space back in Niš, so not related, but maybe interesting. So, first of all, about e-commerce in general. E-commerce is a complex problem to solve. It's a challenging task. No matter what programming language or framework you use, it is challenging for many reasons. One of them is starting for a product itself. When you're building an e-commerce solution, one of the first problems you need to solve is to model a product correctly. So you can sell anything like electronics, software, videos, content, whatever, and all of this stuff you sell on your web shop are products. And your model should be flexible enough to handle all of the specifics of that product. For example, if you're selling a laptop, you have attributes like a RAM memory. For example, this laptop has 8 gigs of RAM. This attribute is not a simple data, it's complex object with integer, right, or 8 and the unit gigabytes. So it can be anything. It could be Boolean, like does it have a optical drive, touchscreen, and so on and so on. So having a proper model is one of the challenging tasks when you're building e-commerce. Then you always have a shopping cart, which needs to deal with the session storage. You're dealing with payment, and we all know that payment APIs sometimes suck hard, so you need to manage that. You have a promotion system that needs to be flexible enough to handle all the business rules that your client requires, and so on and so on. So we are talking about really complex tasks to handle. And all this story can be told a lot simpler. There's a guy back there. Really awesome sentence. So e-commerce and equivalent on both sides. This is really true. So maybe you can tell us, Oleg, why is? Почему e-commerce хуёвая работа?
На самом деле, чтобы вы все понимали, Саша умеет говорить на русском, просто он притворяется. Ну, потому что
there was the idea to give this talk in Russian, but I think it would sound like this. Привет, Syliusly, клёво, PHP, тоже клёво, давай, и так далее. So I decided to give it in English.
В общем, когда мы с Сашей пили пиво во Франции, мы обсуждали его проект Syliusly, и если вы посмотрите на такой проект, как Magenta или Magenta 2, то на ней можно заработать кучу бабла, вот, если вы там разработчик или владелец магазина. Но разрабатывать это не очень приятно. Есть люди, которые получили сертификаты, и они как бы разбираются в Магенте. Вот, но если взять человека со стороны с каким-то там опытом объектно-ориентированного программирования, хороших подходов, ему будет первый год или даже 2 года. Поэтому да, потом он привыкнет, это нормально. Ну, то есть ко всему привыкает. Ходит на ПКП, на Syliusly, на Магенте и так далее. Но из-за того, что доменная задача самого интернет-магазина e-commerce это сложно, из-за этого приходится городить кучу костылей в твоем коде и потом, соответственно, это все поддерживать. Ну да, цитата норм, спасибо.
Of course, he explained a lot better than me why this sucks hard, but let's see what we can do about it. So if we step back, back in the days when we were starting to code, it was hard, right? So the programming itself is not a simple task to do. And e-commerce is even worse. So what did we do as developers to make our life easier in our day-to-day job? So we are all developing some pretty complex applications, and we helped ourselves by picking Symfony as our weapon of choice. So we are all here Symfony developers. This is a Symfony CAMP, and I guess most of you like Symfony, and this is the reason why they picked this tool. So I wanted to take a minute to talk with you, because when I was preparing these slides, I asked myself, why do I use this framework? Why do I like it a lot? So I want to share with you the thoughts about Symfony in general. Why do you like Symfony? For example, why do you like Symfony? Можно я русском? Почему ты любишь Symfony? Если любишь.
Ну да, я люблю Symfony, по крайней мере, в контексте PHP фреймворка.
Думал об этом? Почему?
Ну, потому что он дает очень много возможностей в сравнении с любыми другими фреймворками. И ну, я включил комьюнити тоже. Это очень, очень важно в наше время.
Это правда. Почему? Почему?
Хоть бы не меня, да?
Я тебя понял.
Я люблю Symfony за стабильный API, который не меняется на протяжении многих версий, да, LTS версий.
Это правда. Any more ideas? In general, Symfony is an awesome project. It's open. It has awesome community. It's not only about the framework, but it's about a set of bundles that solve a lot of common problems. There is a lot of projects that are not strictly tied to Symfony, but are used widely. It's flexible enough. You can use it like just the components, not the entire framework, which many projects do, and so on. And as you use Symfony and you like getting involved with the project, you are becoming the better developer. I learned a lot by just looking at Symfony code, right? So we can all agree that it's a cool project and we benefit a lot from working with it. And if you love Symfony, most likely for the same reason you will like the Syliusly as well. Because Syliusly adopts many concepts that Symfony already provides and adding some additional cool things inside that you should also like or hate because sometimes it's another layer to learn to work with. So, but it is interesting. The first time I came across Syliusly, it was back in 2012 probably. My first thought was, okay, somebody really knew how to write proper Symfony code. And I liked it a lot, so I started experimenting it. I liked how things were decoupled, flexible, and so on. the focus in Sylius is not about satisfying some business rules because it's not written from the specific end customer, but instead it is written with developers in mind. And Sylius project and community really cares about developers. Project tries to provide a natural environment for a developer. So maybe some feature will not be as easy to integrate like in some other solutions, but in order to implement it, it will feel natural to implement Sylius interfaces or override some classes that are already there. So the focus is on providing a natural development environment and to have a foundation that you can rely on and iterate on in order to have really customized e-commerce solution. Here is the simple representation on the Sylius stack, and similar like in Symfony, it's based on components. So the first layer are standalone reusable PHP libraries called Sylius components that you can use in any PHP project, no matter if you're not using Symfony at all, but for example, if you're Zen framework or whatever, you can use Sylius components in general by just installing them with Composer and starting right away. On top of that, each component have its own bundle, which is a layer on top to provide Symfony integration. It provides a basic, for example, doctrine mappings, routing configuration, basic CRUD, lightweight controllers based on Sylius resource bundle, which is the heart of Sylius. It's something like Sonata admin bundle, but a lot lighter and a lot simpler. So you can build simple CRUD on it. And on top of that, there is a Sylius platform, which is a complete e-commerce solution that you can use. So it's fully functional application that is a glue above all the components and bundles that wraps them together and creates a web shop that works out of the box. And of course, you can pick any of layer that you want. If you want to use just components, go ahead and use them. If you want to use bundles, you can use them, or you can rely on already existing Sylius project. And many people don't know, but Sylius is not just about e-commerce. There are a lot of components and bundles on top of them that solve some generic problem which is not real tied to e-commerce, but I don't know, for example, the addressing component. If you just need a simple, if you have addresses that you need to handle in your project, like your user have like a street, country, and zip code, and so on, you can use addressing component or bundle, depending on if you're in Symfony, you'll most likely use bundle. If you're PHP, if you have PHP project, you will use component. And handler addressing with that, you will have doctrine entities that you can just plug into your project and use right away. And some useful services, like it provides, for example, zone matcher service, which is a service that you give him an address model, and based on that, it returns a collection of zones that matches this address. And zones are geographic areas that we use that for shipping, for example. So when user enters the address, we provide that to the zone matcher, and zone matcher says, okay, this address belongs to, for example, European Union zone. So we know that we should provide like a shipping method that covers European Union, and so on. But you can plug that into any project. And there are other components that you can see that are not really e-commerce related, and there are e-commerce specific components like cart, payment, product, promotion, and so on and so on. They try to be decoupled, but most of the time they are coupled with the resource, which is the heart of the Sylius. And yeah, so you can use them, but it will most likely fetch some more dependencies. And this is a simple example of how you are installing a simple component. For example, if you want to use just taxonomy component, which is a component that helps you to categorize things. So you can categorize anything with taxonomy. So taxonomy component have the taxonomy model and the taxon. So taxonomy can be, for example, the brands or the category or whatever, and the taxon can be like Nike, Reebok, and so on. So if you need just to categorize things and you need to use this, you just compose a require and you can easily use them. Or if you are building a Symfony application, you will install any Sylius bundle like you used to with any other bundle. There are no many specifics in using Sylius bundles. The usual flow, you just install it with Composer, enable it in kernel, and just configure it. You follow the docs and you will have it installed. If you want to play with it or contribute or just check it out, you can use Composer create project and then just run a command line installer. This installer will guide you through few simple steps, like it will check the system requirements, set up the database, ask you about a few configuration parameters, and you will be all set up. The Sylius repository is the central repository where all the development happens. We use it for development and as a demo for Sylius project. But there is also a project called Sylius Standard. This is similar to Symfony Standard Edition. So if you want to start your own project based on Sylius, you will probably pick Sylius Standard, because in that case, all the Sylius related code will be in your vendor directory. Versus if you're using Sylius, it will be in your SRC directory, which is handy if you want to submit a patch, because all fixes, pull requests are submitted against Sylius. And then we have a script that just splits that tree and pushes to each individual component and bundle directory. Repository. So the installation is pretty easy. Other than Symfony, Sylius also uses Option ORM as a default ORM, payment library from Maxim, and also library to handle payments. It provides some basic Symfony CMF integration, and it uses full stack VDD with PHP spec and Behat. So besides that, whenever there is an open source project that does the job good, that just fits this project, it's used inside. For example, we used Elasticsearch, the Elasticsearch bundle, Postgres bundle, PostAll bundle, Faker library, Imagine bundle, and so on and so on. So not everything reinvented. And regarding full stack BDD, this is one of my favorite parts of Sylius, because Sylius was built with BDD in mind from the start. We are using PHP spec as a code design tool. So most of the classes are specified. If you're not familiar with PHP spec, Sylius may be the good resource to get started with, to look into it. Actually, PHP spec is a tool that helps you to write the clean code using the methodology called spec BDD. So you're describing the object you're about to write. And you're writing the spec class, which contains method that's a human readable method. Human readable sentences are the method names, which inside you write the expectation how your code should behave. And it really guides you to write a really decoupled code, because you're focusing on the object you're about to write while mocking all other dependencies. And this will help us a lot to write solid code base. And it's also awesome because when you run these specs, the output looks something like this, which serves also as a documentation, because when you read these specs, you can kind of get the idea of what this class does. So it's useful when the new team members are joining the team, and they can just read the specs and just get the idea of what part of the code does what. We use this internally in CAMP Labs as well, and it turned out to be a great tool to help get into project faster and write better code. So if you never work with PHP spec, I really encourage you to look into Syliusly implementation and to start working with it, because when I was starting with PHP spec, I had a hard time to write proper specs. But later I realized that the reason for that was because my code was wrong. So my specs were fine, but the code I'm specifying was wrong. Then I changed my code, and specs went green, and I realized that I was doing things wrong. So PHP spec pointed a finger at me and said, okay, you're doing things wrong, you should not, for example, instantiate dependencies in the constructor, but inject them and stuff like that. So it really helps you to understand how to decouple. Then we use Behat for external code quality. This is the story BDD tool, where basically you are describing a scenario of using your software using human readable language as well. This is Gherkin, and Gherkin scenarios are simple given when then scenarios, so you specify how you use a certain feature. The main point of this is to make easier to communicate between business owners, managers, developers, testers, and so on. But in Syliusly case, because we don't have a real business client, the real benefit is for us to understand what we are about to implement, and then functional tests that came as a bonus, because whenever you break something, the build will fail and you will get an error. And it helped us a lot, because when we have everything covered with Behat, we feel a lot safer to change the code, to refactor. We don't fear to break things, and that also leads to a better code base. So, when someone asks me about proper usage of Behat or some examples, I also point them at Syliusly repository, because there are a lot of scenarios and context classes that you can look at and learn from them. We use crowding service for translation. This is also an interesting approach, because crowding provides a web interface for translating resources, and after you finish translation and save them in crowding, there is a script that submits a pull request with updated translations. So if you have a project that you need to maintain a lot of translations, crowding is a great tool to manage that. We use Scrutinizer continuous integration for code quality, and it's also pretty nice tool which gives you interesting reports. And as you can see, it's not perfect, but my research showed that this code quality score is pretty much better than many existing solutions, which is always nice. It also has awesome community. I recognize some faces here who also are contributors to Syliusly, and as you can see, there's more than 200 contributors, which is great. And if you are starting with Syliusly and you have a problem, you can ask questions on Stack Overflow or submit an issue. There will probably someone to look into it. Also, if you submit a pull request, most likely someone will review it and provide some feedback. So there's pretty active community out there. These are some of our contributors. And people often ask about, is it production ready, what is the state of the project, because it is under heavy development still. The answer is that it is in version 2.15, 2.16 in progress. The plan was to release beta until the end of this year, but looks like this will not happen. But other than that, it is not stable yet. With each version, there are a lot of PC breaks, which makes upgrades harder. But back in 2012, I built the first production-ready web shop with Sylius. So if I did that back in 2012, you will probably manage to do that today, because Sylius now is much more stable, and it has a lot more features than back at that time. By the way, this web shop still runs live. It's some electronics web shop I built for a client. And currently, I'm working on Hybeast project. Hybeast is a Hong Kong-based fashion store. They're selling t-shirts, shoes, and so on. And the client actually migrated from WooCommerce, which is some silly WordPress plugin, which apparently have a lot of features, but their promotion system was not flexible enough, so they decided to give Sylius a chance, which was a good decision, because Sylius provides really flexible promotion system. Promotion system that is based on promotion rules and promotion actions, so you can define your own promotion rules that need to be fulfilled against your order. And for example, you can implement promotion rule interface, which says I want a rule that my buyer is from Kiev, for example, or that my buyer is whatever, that buying more than 15 items, and so on. And then you can implement promotion action interface, like promotion action that gives 20% of discount and so on, and register these rules and this action inside promotion rule registry, and then you just have pretty flexible promotions. In order to satisfy a project needs, we created a Hybeast platform to handle yet another store from the same client, which is focused only on women's fashion. So we override Sylius a lot, and in order to have one common place to hold all the customizations, we created a Hybeast platform, which is based on Sylius, and that's based these two shops on Hybeast platform. At the time when we were starting, Sylius was at version 2.7, and now it's on 2.15. So you can imagine how long road we crossed to get to this stage. And today, Hybeast have like 40 million of visits. We have 3,000 orders per month and about 30K of products plus options, variations of these products. So we're talking about really a high number of products, which again is not very large web shop, but it proves that Sylius can handle. Sylius is not a limitation of how many products or orders you can have. So whatever you imagine, you can achieve, but you just need to continue from what Sylius provide and build on top of that. You need to innovate in order to make progress. And finally, I would just like to point you, if you're considering Sylius as your, and you want to base your project on Sylius, you should consider the good and bad parts, which are, in my experience, the good parts are the awesome community. So when we need a new feature, we usually communicate directly with Sylius developers, because I'm a Sylius developer myself, so I usually open RFC or a pull request or an issue, and we have a really good cooperation with them. The code base is still pretty clean, and BDD helps a lot, especially we covered our checkout process and most critical features with Big Hat. So when we are upgrading to next version or introducing some major refactoring, we feel safe because we know that we never break the checkout. So BDD helps a lot there. Some things that I hope we can fix in the future are these hard updates, because with each new release there are a number of VC breaks that are usually not well documented. So I'm spending like a few weeks ripping my head off because I'm trying to fix these VC breaks. But one of the reasons why we have so much, we are so much affected by these VC breaks are, yes, because Sylius is changing a lot, but another reason is we override Sylius a lot, so with each change we are much affected. Many people complain that it's hard to learn, and yeah, sometimes it is, because we use a lot of third-party libraries, we use a lot of events, callbacks, so sometimes code flow may be hard to follow, because for example, all the models like order, payment, shipment are switching between states, and with each transition between these states, some callbacks are triggered which do something, so it may be hard to follow the flow. So this is also one of the hard things in Sylius, and the code base is constantly growing because we're adding a number of features, which also requires new code to be delivered with each new release. I hope I gave you some basic overview of what Syliusly is and what you can do with it. And I again repeat, I encourage you to look into the project, because even if you are not into e-commerce, you can benefit from looking into it or using some of the components that are general, that are not related with e-commerce in particular. That would be pretty much it. If you have any questions, you can ask now or meet me later. If you want to ask in Russian, you can try. I will hopefully understand.
Hello. Tell me please, if it is easy to edit products for client. For example, there are thousands of hundreds of products which client needs to change their prices or prices of their attributes or sub-products. How the client will change their prices? Is the admin part of this framework is user-friendly, or it is for developers maybe?
Okay, so by client, you mean the product owner, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, there you can have there is a backend area where you can log in if you are admin or product manager or whatever. We have a hierarchy of roles who can do what. And if he's admin or product manager, he can edit almost anything related to product, prices, titles, attributes, everything. So it's pretty easy to edit.
What about multiple edits of large amount of products?
It's not there yet, but for this web shop back in 2012 that I was showing, I implemented bulk editing within few hours. So it's really easy to implement it on your own. Why it is not in core yet, I'm not sure. Probably it is not. We try to keep core as small as possible, kind of. So probably not many people need this bulk edit feature. But as I said, back 2 years ago, I implemented within a few hours. So you just need to add a new form type, create a new page, which is easy with resource bundle. You probably don't need to create a new controller at all. You can just add a new form type, register custom routing, and you're almost there. So it's not in core, but it's easy to add. The bulk edit.
Еще вопросы есть?
Can you please say a little bit more about translations? For example, we want to build some multi-language site, and the customer want to manage translations about its content and products and descriptions, and maybe some labels like some really images, for example, but it should be language specific.
So there are translations of static resources like labels on the in web shop, and that's the one part. But there is also a translation support for models, for product properties like product title, description are multilingual. So if you configure, for example, that your shop is available in Russian, Ukrainian, and English, on product edit page you will have for product description and product title three tabs for each language, so you can translate all of this. By default, only I think product title, description, and maybe some tags, I'm not sure, are translatable by default, but you can easily make anything translatable using the translation bundle and translation component, which actually enables to translate almost any field of any entity. Does that answer your question?
Yep. And that crowd translations, this
Crowding is just a tool we use for Sylius because I think it's free for open source projects. So it's easier for our translation contributors to use some web backend than to install Git and everything, because most of them are not developers, but probably someone who wants to help, or
it's for backend stuff.
It's for both backend and front end, because all the strings that you see are translatable. So there are resource translations for any part for the system. There should be no such thing as hard-coded string, theoretically.
Tell me please, if there is some tools for export catalog into Excel or XML or CSV and to import it back. For example, client wants to change price of certain amount of products, he imports them into Excel, changes, and exports back this file.
I think there is. It's recently there was some development regarding that. I would need to check specifically. I think there is. There is also some integration with third-party products like Akineo. There is integration with Easy Publish, CMS, and so on. So inside the core, I think you can export to CSV and back. But there are also people build third-party projects that integrate Sylius with any tool. Like there was a typo 3 integration and so on. So there are a lot of resources that are not in the official Sylius repository but somewhere else. But I think that export-import feature is inside Sylius code.
Hey, the question is, does Sylius provide some kind of facet filtration out of the box, or is it a task of the developer to implement it?
Can you repeat what?
Facet filtration.
There was a pull request regarding that, and I'm not sure what is the state of this. I started to do this for one project, and it was never completed. But there was another one which I think is, but I'm not sure because on the project I work in, we implemented our custom thing for this. But I think there is some kind of support there in core.
Because it's very important part of it.
Yes, yes, yes. I think there is something that you can build on top.
Тут нужно напомнить, кроме красивого кода, там, всех остальных вещей, Sylius наследовал от Symfony вот эту тягомотину с приемом тех pull реквестов, которые там находятся. Там есть pull реквесты, которые год висят и более, поэтому здесь,
К сожалению, да.
да, здесь этот процесс достаточно такой затянутый. Ну, возможно, есть код-девелопер, который определяет направление, поэтому проще найти из того пакета pull request, что вам необходимо, и имплементировать свой проект. Но на самом деле это не навредит никаким образом, вы можете спокойно двигаться и дальше. Потому что разделение очень большое. Поэтому проблем что-то добавить из того, что уже люди сделали, а сделали люди очень много. Абсолютно никаких нет.
Yes, in order for something to be merged in core, it should be flexible enough to cover most of the use cases. And yeah, people stuck sometimes, implement it to some point, and then pull request just hangs there, and the development is really intense, and then pull request quickly gets outdated and nobody wants to maintain it. And this is one of the problems with Sylius. We are now pushing forward the multi-stack multi-stock support, so you can have like you already can have multiple stock locations, but so you can move inventory from one to another and optimize shipping based on multiple locations. And hope it will be finished soon. But if you don't iterate on it fast and implement something that is flexible enough to be in the core, then it just gets left abandoned, and some of pull requests do, unfortunately. But the thing you were asking about, I'm not sure what is the state of that. I would need to check.
The question is about tests and how they are run on the Sylius. Are there any data fixtures that are used to run those behead tests or something like this? And the second question is there any separate environment, a Symfony environment like a dev prod and test environment to run those tests on?
Yes. In Sylius, we have fixtures. And we use these fixtures, when I say fixtures, I mean doctrine fixtures, which are like doctrine classes that generate dummy data. And we use that for dev environment. And yes, we have test, dev, and production environment. We use that in that environment in order, when you install Sylius, to have some demo data you can work with. We have a separate fixtures, which are not doctrine fixtures, but are behead fixtures. So for each scenario, we, in the background of behead scenario, of behead feature file, we have setting up the fixtures. Like, given there are following products, then we name the products. Given there are following channels, we name the channels, and so on. So we don't use dev fixtures for test environment because it's kind of slower. So all the fixtures for test environment are in behead scenarios. In HighBeast, on the other hand, we use doctrine fixtures for behead because it's simpler for us. It is slower, but it's simpler to have fixtures on one place than maintaining it for each scenario. So we took a slightly different path from Sylius in regarding of fixtures. So it's up to you if you're starting a new project. When we were starting HighBeast, we practically copy-pasted what was there and changed it to fulfill our needs. So you can decide for your own project if you are using Sylius, will you use dev fixtures, I mean doctrine fixtures, or you will, for each scenario, set up a separated set of fixtures. Each of these approaches have its pros and cons, as you can imagine, as everything in life.
Another question is about when actually the tests are run. So does every developer should trigger the tests, or they should run several times per day, or on every pull request, or something like this?
No, we use Travis continuous integration. So all you need to do is to create a separate branch and submit a pull request. There is a hook that automatically runs Travis build, so you just wait for your pull request to get green, and that's all you need to do. You can run it locally, but automatically when you submit a pull request, it's run on the Travis CI automatically.
How much time every build take in average to run all those beta tests?
I think it's about 30-40 minutes, because we have a large set of beta scenarios plus PHP spec. So I think it's more than 30 minutes.
Is it possible to split it up somehow?
They are divided into separate suites, but that doesn't help. I think Behat still does not have support for parallel test execution, parallel scenario execution actually. So there is no real. There are some attempts to create something, like to run them in isolation, but we don't use that. I mean, it's not critical. They are slow, but we don't care too much.
For example, if it's test that running by developer, I can't wait for 40 minutes to test some specific functionality that was implemented.
But you can run locally the concrete scenario. So you can, if you are developing some feature, you can say I'm running scenario and name it like.
Yeah.
Where is it? So if you're want to run just this scenario, you run beta -- name and placing the order, and it will run just this scenario, and it will run within a couple of seconds probably.
But, I mean, if for example I want to test something like just translation system, or just
there is a translation test suite.
I mean, if it will be possible to maybe make some set of tests.
Yes, there are suites. Like if you have a promotion suite, we tag each scenario with annotation like promotion, inventory, checkout, and so on. So if you're testing translation, you just run tag translation and it will run just this part. I'm not sure how time it consumes, but it will be faster than half hour, of course.
And another one question about pricing. Is it possible? As I understand, it's possible to implement everything.
Yes, it is.
Because
like without it.
Extend and override something. How hard to implement, for example, something like really flexible pricing system? For example, currently we have some business requirements that we should to set a price for a product different by time of the day, customers consistency, or maybe something, a lot of such thing. And after that, we want to merge some promotions, for example, for that products, and maybe after that we need to merge another one promotions on the whole shopping cart, for example.
Yes, this is exactly the use case where Sylius shows its true strength. Yeah, because for the pricing in specific, we support multiple pricing calculators. So what you need to do if you want a different price, for example, by the
geolocation.
Yeah, you can implement your own pricing calculator, register it in container, tag it as a pricing calculator, and it will be applied on your products. So regarding promotions, you can also do almost anything with promotions. Like you can have also promotion actions based on the time time of the day or location or whatever you can put to your mind. You just register your promotion, custom promotion rule, and you will be able to pick it from the backend and apply it.
And can I rate it? This promotion should be placed first, and if not, this promotion should be second. To make a chain, for example.
Promotions are held in promotion registry, and they are iterated. I don't know what. I think there is no ordering, but why does the order matters to you? I mean, if you have multiple promotion, the promotion checker will check each of them and apply what is eligible for your order.
I have a business rule.
Then you will probably need to override promotion registry or some part, which is also easy to do. You just extend or implement one interface, and you will have a control over how they are fetched and applied.
How do you store product attributes values? Is this anti-attribute value model or something else? And is also support of the searching engines like Syliusly or Elasticsearch?
Attributes are handled by attribute component and attribute bundle itself. And yeah, there is separated modeling for this kind of data, like for attributes. And yes, there is Elasticsearch support. And I think the search component is generic and only Elasticsearch is implemented, but you can also implement support for other engines. I think there is no support for anything else besides Elasticsearch, as far as I know, last time I checked. But it is meant to be decoupled from Elasticsearch, so you can implement interfaces and again plug Swing or Solar or whatever you want to use. Most of the people use Elasticsearch. I don't know, it's popular.
Personally, we have a project with Syliusly, and we almost switched from the default of product display and almost switching to the display and list of products from the Elasticsearch almost. So we have the ground based on the Syliusly and front end almost listed from the Elasticsearch. And this is quite easy to implement.
Yeah, we do that as well.
What is the business audience for the service?
That's a tough question. The client I work on is developer himself, so it was easy for him to recognize the benefit of using Syliusly, but I can imagine some business people who already work with Magento or some other e-commerce system. It's hard to convince them to switch to Syliusly, and Syliusly apparently is not for everybody. It's there primarily for Symfony developers, because it's easy to integrate it into existing Symfony projects. It's easy to integrate it with any Symfony bundle or tool that you're already using. So this is one of the true benefits. If you're just looking for a feature set of Magento and you don't care too much about Symfony or developer experience that Syliusly provides, then probably Magento is better choice for you. So I think it needs a lot of time and effort for Syliusly to get there. And currently, I don't see the audience for Syliusly is this kind of clients.
Okay. And another question. Не хочется обидеть или сказать что-то плохое, но вот did you heard about the Spriker? A little bit the same system based on Symfony 2, Spriker.com. Did you heard about?
What is the name?
Spriker.
Spriker.
Oh, okay.
No, but I heard about there is many of them.
Okay.
Telia, Elcody.
It's interesting compared.
Yeah. Most of the time, I just take a look at these solutions, I tried and just closed. But one project that caught my eye recently, actually a year ago, is Akineo, which is a really interesting project. I like how they manage products, their interface, and I think the good idea is maybe to use Akineo because it's not e-commerce system, it's product, it's a BIM, yeah. So if you integrate, for example, Syliusly and Akineo, you can have a cool setup to manage your products.
And the last question is, how many projects do you in this technology?
With Syliusly?
Yeah.
There is a company founded by the Syliusly creator, Paolo, called Lakion, and they do a lot of commercial projects based on Syliusly. And yeah, they built really cool features for these projects. Some of these features are not contributed back, but will eventually. As always, the problem is time, because you need really, when you're implementing something for the specific purpose, you build faster and it's not generic enough, as I said. But I think I cannot say a number, but let's say I know about 15 to 20 projects that are production ready, built with Syliusly. And there is probably more, but I just don't know about it.
First question, do you have any experience of building Syliusly applications on top of existing database?
No.
Not possible at all?
Everything is possible. It's just a question of how much effort you will need to get there. Is it a custom database or some existing?
Custom.
Custom.
But the data structure is...
I think at the end of the day you will need to migrate data. I mean, what you need to do is to understand the Syliusly database schema and just try to import your data into the existing Syliusly database, which is a monkey business. You are mapping your fields to match Syliusly structure. The guys from Lakion already did this for I think Magento. So the idea is at some point to have a migration script for all major solutions, so that you can just migrate my data import them from Magento and you're there. But these adapters are hard to write, hard to maintain because you need to take care of the versions. And with the custom schema you need to do this by hand on your own, so you need to implement your own migration script.
Okay, second question. I'm currently working on a Symfony-based checkout application, and there are a lot of tasks which not trivial, and most people, I think, just don't think about such tasks. And I want to ask, for example, I didn't find any mention about fraud protection in Syliusly. Is it correct? There is no support?
What do you mean by fraud protection?
There are third-party services which takes your data, transaction data, and analyze it and give.
Yeah. On Hybrid we use what is the name of the tool?
Count.
No. I don't remember, but basically.
Well, anyway, the question is, how hard would it be to?
It's not hard at all. I mean, your best bet would be that this tool provides PHP library or even Symfony bundle, like some of them do, and you just plug it into your Syliusly project as you would. I mean, your application is Symfony application, right? So it would be same kind of effort. Syliusly does not provide yet anything out of the box, so it will be no harder nor simpler than with your custom application.
Okay, guys, let's move our all other questions to the background. But Here, last one is about what are future plans for the service, and another one, do you have plans to support NoSQL databases like MongoDB? or something else?
MongoDB support is already there. You can use Mongo.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, as far as I know, there's a lot of companies currently run the system. So current runs, for instance.
Yes, but you can. Most of the bundles, as far as I know, provide Mongo. Mongo with Doctrine or ODM, so you can use it. People use it. So it's already there. If something is missing, it's easy to add. But I think most of them support. Most of the parts support.
Okay, do you know about some future plans? About the release?
Yes. There is a blog post about it on the Syliusly website, and I'm not sure.
Real plan.
The real plan was, the last time I was talking with Paul, it was on summer camp this year, was to release the beta till the end of the year, because he said he was drunk. If I don't release beta this year, I will kill myself. So this was the plan, but I saw the plan for 0.16 and it's pretty optimistic. There are a lot of features in progress. So I doubt that it will be released, the beta will be released until the end of the year, but we still hope, kind of. So yeah, we need to finish multi-stock support, we need to polish API, and after the beta probably there should not be such a busy bracelet as we have now. So if you want to know exact roadmap and the plans for the future, there is just recently released a blog post. Okay, thank you all for attending. Thank you all for